Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 best cards to come out of March of the Machine. Now these aren't going to be any new legendaries. Everyone knows Zimone and Dina are amazing and Thalia and the Gitrog monster are quite frankly oppressive and awesome. But we're going to be taking a look at the cards to go in your 99 for your already established decks. Speaking of which, if you'd like to know how to make either of these decks, then be sure to check out our link for them in the description box below. Or if you wish to purchase any of the cards I'm going to be talking about here, then if you're in Europe, be sure to use cardmarket.com, link below. Or if you're on the other side of the pond, then be sure to use any of these guys. All links for the affiliates in the description box below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it really helps the channel out a lot. Now let's head into our top 10 list, starting with the Terror of Tawashi is a 4/3 Forexian Ogre for 2 generic and 2 black mana. They have Death Touch and read, whenever a Terror of Tawashi attacks, you may pay 3 generic and 1 black mana. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It is a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. Reanimation on a stick is nothing new. Sun Titan, Drawn of the Lost Blood Sheaf, or if you're in a lot of colours then Yortilla Nelaphim. But what makes the Terror special is that there are no restrictions on the creature you get back. No mana value limit or creature type needed. Now you do need to pay 4 mana, which is a massive drawback. However, the creature isn't attacking, like say if we used Alicia who smiles at death. So our brought back friend isn't at risk of dying to combat damage, and the Terror has Death Touch, so anything that blocks him is going down too. It has the added bonus of making a Phyrexian for any guilty pleasure Phyrexian tribal decks out there as well. City on Fire is an enchantment that costs 5 generic mana and triple red. It has Convoke and reads, if a source you control would deal damage to a opponent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. Okay, so let's get the obvious out of the way first. City on Fire is literally Fiery Emancipation with 2 key differences. 1, it costs 2 generic mana more. Boo. But 2, it has Convoke. Yay! Being able to convoke out this massive spell means it can come out much quicker, and especially if you're playing a token deck like in Krenko or Jetmir. Or heck, if you want a really short game, then you can just play this in Purphoros, God of the Forge. As this means Purphoros will be dealing 6 damage on each creature entering, which seems completely fair and balanced. Now it only makes it to 9 simply because of the steep mana value, and the triple red needed to cast it. So even with Convoke, getting it out is going to be difficult in anything more than a 2-colour deck. Our adorable little shark is a 2/4 flying Phyrexian shark for 2 generic and 1 blue mana. They read, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. As a quick reminder, incubate is a new keyword that creates an artifact token that has +1/+1 counters on it, which you can then pay 2 generic mana to flip it over into a 0/0 creature, which still has the counters on it. Now the reason why I love this shark, apart from the fact that it's a flying shark, I mean come on, is that it is a smaller version of cards like Metallurgic Summonings, granting you additional value for just playing out your spells in any blue deck. This goes especially great in any artifact-based deck like Breya, Urza, Psy, Master Thopterist, other Urza. It can create a board state out of nothing but artifacts that you've had around for ages, which can be used to give you Metalcraft or even make the tokens Urza has massive. Overall, it's blue artifact value. What more do you want? Surge of Salvation is an instant for 1 white mana and reads, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn. Prevent all damage black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. An uncommon at number 7? Yes, well, this uncommon is only 1 white mana that saves your Voltron commander from a Swords to Plowshares or Assassin's Trophy. Or it makes it so you can't be the target of massive life loss or damage spells. Up yours, Sorin. and rather nicely also protects your board from cards like Blasphemous Act or other similar red board wipes. There isn't a lot to say about it really. The Surge definitely isn't Heroic Intervention, but it's also 1 white mana and about as close as we're gonna get. The Forexian Sensor is a 3/3 Phyrexian wizard for 2 generic and 1 white mana. They read, each player can't cast more than 1 non-Phyrexian spell each turn. Non-Phyrexian creatures enter the battlefield tapped. Now, we do feel a little bit bad about putting a stacks piece so high on the list, as it might endorse more people to play that wretched style of deck. But making it so opponents can't cast essentially more than 1 spell each turn is a bit backbreaking to a lot of decks. It also means that if there is a control player, which should be you tend to be able to counter anything you want and the other player can't respond because they've already cast their spell. It's pure filth. But it becomes all the more obnoxious when you're playing a Phyrexian tribal deck, like the one headed by the recently completed Brimaz, for example. All of a sudden you can cast as many creature spells as you want because they're Phyrexian, and with all your opponent's creatures coming in tapped, why that just sounds like less blockers to me. Yeah, the card ain't fair, hence why it gets to number 6. And another uncommon no less. Ozolith the Shattered Spire is a legendary artifact for 1 generic and 1 green mana. It has cycling 2, and reads, if 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on it instead. It also has 1 generic, 1 green tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Why yes Wizards, I would like an additional copy of Hardened Scales in my counters deck, which is arguably better. So the Spire does cost 1 generic mana more than Scales, but it also has the ability to put counters onto creatures itself, which at times can be a massive lifesaver. A counters deck has to find the correct balance between counter payoff and effects or creatures that put counters onto permanents. The Spire does give you more counters and can put them on creatures itself. It gives Falco more counters to use for card advantage, it gives Gave more counters to make more saplings with, it gives Atraxa more things to proliferate, like she needed a new toy. The Shattered Spire can just be a second copy of an already established good card, but itself can also give advantage as well with its own ability. Or if you really don't need it for whatever reason, just cycle it away, I guess. Fairy Mastermind is a 2/1 fairy rogue with flash, flying, for 1 generic and 1 blue mana, and reads, whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. And for 3 generic and 1 blue mana, each player draws a card. Yuta Takahashi has helped create a great 2/1 flyer for 2 mana with flash that doesn't prevent your opponents from drawing cards like, say, Notion Thief does, but it just makes sure you do as well. It's way more group hug than stacks, but especially at higher levels of play, it really makes a player think if they want those cards, knowing it fuels you as well. And it having flash means it can easily be put into play in response to a triggered ability. The last ability is to me either a desperate plea not to be attacked as you're letting people draw, and you draw at least 2, or heck, activate it twice, then each opponent has drawn 2 and you drew 5. I'm not sure if that's worth it, but it definitely seems like quite a funny play in my book. This enchantment costs triple green and reads, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if its power is 3 or greater. Otherwise, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Guardian Project is a completely cracked card and fuels a fair few combos by just drawing when a creature re-enters the battlefield. The tribute is arguably better, and here's why. The tribute costs 1 less mana. So far so good. It is for any creature, not just non-token. So anytime you get a Rampaging Balos trigger to make a shiny new 4/4, you get a draw trigger. But if that creature, token or not, doesn't quite reach the height requirements, then it gets buffed with 2 +1/+1 counters. The thing I love about this card is that it gives great upside no matter the size of your creature. either drawing you a card or putting counters onto them to make them bigger. The only, and I mean only, downside is that this card is triple green. Putting this in a 3-colour deck might be a bit tight to cast it on curve, or even if you want to. But if you've got the perfect fixing, or heck just have a Yavimaya out, then just go nuts. It's honestly great, and definitely the best enchantment of the set. C-Double is an instant for 2 generic mana and 2 blue. This spell cannot be copied and reads, choose one. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, you may choose both. Copy target spell. You may choose new copies for the target. And create a token that's a copy of target creature. Okay, this is hands down my favourite card in the set, even if it doesn't make it to number 1, I just simply love it for the power of it. But C-Double is a clone effect of any creature on the board at instant speed, that when timed right can just be a fantastic 2 for 1. Someone casts a removal spell, copy it, and the best creature on the board. Someone's playing a really powerful creature spell, then get a token copy of it, and again, the best creature on the board as well. And the fact that it's instant speed is the thing that's insane to me. You get to generate a potential threatening board state during someone else's turn. Now, it being 4 mana will throw off playing it at CDH tables, but it's honestly so impressive to me and I honestly love it. But it is, however, not as strong as Sunfall. This sorcery costs 3 generic and double white and reads, exile all creatures. Incubate X, where X is the number of creatures exiled this way. Now, if you've been paying attention to spoilers, this probably isn't a shock to you, but exile all creatures at 5 mana is a major power-up from most board wipes we've seen in mono white. End hostilities gets rid of auras and equipment attached to creatures, fumigate gains your life, but exiling is another level. Completely hosing reanimation decks and getting around indestructible is already powerful, making that heroic intervention just look worse by the day. But then, it also creates a potentially massive incubate token, which as established can be flipped into a creature for a potential blocker and then a massive beat stick. This card didn't even need that additional line of text, but someone at Wizards clearly looked at Phyrexian Rebirth and said, yeah, it's okay, but what if it costs 1 less, exiled, and made a creature that dodges sorcery speed removal until it can swing? And thus, here we are. It's the best board wipe we've had in mono white arguably ever, and is definitely the most powerful card for your commander deck to come out of March of the Machine. In white, of course. And that'll be it for the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your favourite cards to come out of March of the Machine? Whatever your thoughts, leave them in the comments below. We read every single one. And as always, all Affinity for Commander content, including this video, is made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you too wish to support the channel and get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out our Patreon link in the description box below. You can also support the channel a few quick and easy ways, commenting, liking this video, and subscribing for more videos just like this one. But that'll be it from me for now, guys. I've been Alex, and I will see you next time.